Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, Zakour, has challenged critics to dispute official data showing a downward trend in road fatalities during a parliamentary debate on establishing a national road safety system. I don't know why politicians like to use these statistics to try to claim as though an ongoing issue has been resolved. Lord have mercy. Up to now, I'm not impressed at all with Zakour's performance in government. Not at all. Like how I'm beginning to regain or gain some type of confidence in Minister of Homeland Security, Roger Alexander. This man, no confidence whatsoever in this guy. Speaking in the lower house, Senator Zakour defended the government's progress, noting that deaths have reportedly dropped by 62% compared to the same period last year. Always comparing to the year before. All we still hear is a whole set of accidents and people dying. Stop it with the political games now, people. I support the UNC government in general. Don't think I'm going to switch again. People say, oh God, you come back bashing the government again. No. I've made it clear over and over again. When you say and you do good, I will applaud you. I will commend you. When you're talking tata, I will tell you that you're talking tata. Tata, we say that here in Trinidad. I don't know if the Americans will understand what I mean. But mostly, I believe most of the Americans are watching me anyhow actually, so they will know what I mean anyhow. While the opposition introduced a motion calling for urgent action, Zakour dismissed their claims as statistically inaccurate, asserting that current enforcement and rehabilitation strategies are successfully improving safety on the nation's roads. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong. Some of the initiatives definitely effective to an extent, but it's just a lot of games as well, because you're dealing with a very corrupt system. The TTPS corrupt, traffic wardens corrupt. Oh gosh, the licensing officers, my goodness. My response: the mighty morphin Ghanaian bicycle Colpot PNM always has great ideas to address various issues plaguing TNT while in opposition, because of course they have concerns, right? They have concerns about it. The ability to recognize crime, poverty, and other problems facing our citizens also significantly improves when they are not in government. So you know what? I didn't realize that. They didn't know, they weren't recognizing the economic crisis while they were in government. They weren't recognizing the crime crisis or even the road fatality, the high number of road fatalities. Nothing they were basically recognizing, right? In between, they might talk about it a little bit or whatever. But they weren't actually addressing the issues either. And they were denying it to a great extent. The economic collapse and stuff like that, they were denying it and lying and saying that there was economic growth. So anyhow, you know what? Since they perform much better while they are in opposition, let them stay right there. Let them stay right there for the next few decades and give us advice. Give us wonderful advice. Okay? Fine. Wonderful. Having said that, I hope the government will realize that doubling ticket fines for minor defects on vehicles can never prevent any road traffic accidents from occurring. Also, I will add, imposing fines that I think it was what, $2,000 now for parking violations has nothing to do with road fatalities either. Has nothing to do with road fatalities either. The reality is, the same traffic wardens violate those parking laws all the time. Every day you will see them park up with their vans, park up with their vehicles on the wrong side of the road while conducting traffic. Madness. I have showed it in videos already here in Sangre Grande. Don't talk about the police officers and them. The police officers and them love to park on the wrong side to go and buy roti, to buy KFC, to buy Chinese food, to go in the drugstore, to go and play away. They love to use to park illegally to be able to go and conduct personal errands, not for any emergency. And yet they turn around and they want to charge people for illegal parking. It's hypocrisy, people. Total hypocrisy. I went on to say collecting ticket taxes for parking violations which both TTPS and traffic wardens commit on a daily basis, doesn't prevent road fatalities either. What the government needs to focus on is holding need for speed drivers accountable for their lawless actions by imposing of fines and even imprisonment for repeat offenders. I believe anyone that is caught speeding and driving recklessly and endangering the lives of individuals on our roadways should face time in prison. That is what will deter this type of lawless behavior. The best solution, though, you know what's the best solution to avoid all that? Mandate that speed limiters are installed in all vehicles in order to pass inspection, which will ensure that no one is able to exceed 100 kilometers per hour. No matter how much you fight, you get the urge to go over the 100 kilometers per hour. When X on board, you still can't do it. Why? Because there's a speed limiter. Trainees refuse to realize that the maximum speed of 100 kilometers per hour should only be used when overtaking. That is what it's there for, people. But individuals who actually observe the speed limit are usually deemed slow drivers. You all know that? People that driving 100 kilometers while overtaking, you know, these are the individuals that you'll see all these influencers talking about slow driving in front of you, and they are the ones that causing the accidents. No, they are observing, they are obeying the law, people. I'm telling you, we live in a country that is lawless, and those are the issues you need to address, Zakour. Not people that are trying to just stop to buy a roti that the same police officers do as well, and they want to charge them $2,000. You buy a roti, you know, and I have to pay $2,000 for it. Madness, and you have the police doing the same thing, and the traffic wardens doing the same thing, and the licensing officers doing the same.
Everything in front of me, and I speak of data and facts. I have all the data in front of me, Mr. Speaker. Last year, there was a 12% decrease in road fatalities. And moving into 2026, there was a 44% decrease in January, 29% decrease in February, close to 15% in March, and in the end of April, 10% decrease in road fatalities compared to the same period last year. But the member on this motion indicated an increase, misleading the public.
He went on to note that there was no evidence that the previous demerit system worked. The minister said, to the contrary, there was a yearly increase in road deaths and the system was dysfunctional.
If the system was working, how come so much people were disqualified remaining on the roads? Mr. Speaker, you had instances of persons with 12, 14, and 15 demerit points being disqualified, but persons with 250 and 300 demerit points remain on our roads. How is this a fair system? And I'm very disappointed the Member of Parliament for Aruka, Lupino Aruka, because he was the Director of Legal at the then Ministry of Works and Transport then, when this demerit point system came.
The National Gas Company, NGC, has denied sponsoring a concert held Saturday at the Queen's Park Oval, clarifying that visible branding was a remnant of a partnership that expired in September 2025. It had nothing to do with the concert. They just didn't take down the sign. Next time, we'll learn your lesson. Next time, take down the sign one time. The company, or the banners or whatever, the company explained that the signage, once part of a long-standing agreement with the Queen's Park Cricket Club, is currently being removed as part of a broader shift to cut $700 million in corporate spending. So you see, people, well, it seems as though they now decided to do it, so that's why it was up there for so long. It had nothing to do with the party. PNM patriots outside, they're only pushing propaganda. This move reinforces NGC's new strategy of prioritizing national infrastructure over entertainment sponsorship. Yes, saving taxpayers' dollars for what is really needed in our country.
Trinidad and Tobago weather report for Tuesday, May 5, 2026. Temperature expect a daytime high of around 27 degrees Celsius and an overnight low of 24 degrees Celsius. Conditions morning will start relatively clear, but cloud cover will increase by mid-morning, bringing a 35% to 50% chance of scattered thunderstorms between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Humidity and wind humidity will remain high, averaging around 79%, with steady easterly winds at approximately 11 miles per hour. UV index is expected to be 8, which is very high, so sun protection is recommended if you are outdoors during clear spells.
Regional news now. Guyana has formally pledged to respect the eventual judgment of the International Court of Justice regarding its territorial boundary, which of course will be including the Essequibo, while calling on Venezuela to show similar deference to international law. Speaking at the commencement of oral hearings on May 4, 2026, Foreign Affairs Minister Hugh Todd emphasized that Guyana has placed its full confidence in the judicial process to resolve the long-standing controversy. This legal battle is rooted in Venezuela's 1962 decision to contest the 1899 arbitral award, which it had accepted for over 6 decades. They agreed to it, and then decided, no, you know what? It was flawed and blah, 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 and we are going to contest it. Following 50 years of failed diplomatic mediation under the 1966 Geneva Agreement, the matter was referred to the ICJ in 2018 by the UN Secretary General. Guyana now seeks a definitive ruling to affirm the original 19th century border and secure sovereignty over the resource-rich Essequibo region. That's one of the main reasons why Venezuela wants it, because of the oil. You know how the tribal Chinese like to talk about Trump, and Trump want oil? It's the Venezuelans want people oil. They want the Guyanese oil, the bold-faced self. Now let's go back in history again and talk logic for a little bit. For thousands of years, for centuries definitely, but for thousands of years, all races, all tribes have colonized territories. It's just that the white man did it on a much larger scale. So for thousands of years, you had wars and you conquered and you defeated your enemy, or you defeated the people in the area, and you inhabited that land and you took it for your own. And that was the law. Everybody understood and accepted that. That's just the way things were. And therefore, when the Spanish and the Dutch and so forth colonized the Caribbean, and then the British came along afterwards and started to colonize as well, it was colonial against colonial. It was colonial wars, people. Trinidadians, I'm telling you, and you learn that in probably Form 1 or even in primary school. You're supposed to be learning about that. So as the British took away the Essequibo from the Spanish, they didn't take it away from the British didn't just come out of nowhere and just take it away from the natives or anything like that. The Spanish in Venezuela weren't natives. There are a lot of natives in Venezuela. A lot of Amerindians also in Guyana. But we're not talking about that. There were wars, right? Even Trinidad was switching over and over again ownership between the Spanish and between Spain and the British and stuff like that, right? But finally, we ended up back in the hands of the British, and the Essequibo ended up in the hands of the British as well. So it was rightfully theirs. They conquered the land and they owned it. And therefore, when they decided to give independence to the Guyanese, the Essequibo was part of their territory, and therefore, it rightfully belongs to the people of Guyana, not Venezuela. Well, the tribal Chinese fail to understand and realize that if a precedent is set by the ICJ that is wrong, by giving the Essequibo to the Venezuelans, even though it was conquered and owned by the British, what is going to happen next? Venezuela can claim Trinidad as their own. And therefore, we're not worry about the dragon gas deal again, because they will own our oil and everything with the dragon gas and everything like that. You understand what I'm showing here? Stop with the nonsense. Stop thinking with tribalism and think with common sense and go back in history and actually learn history all over again. The Jamaica Constabulary Force has issued a stern warning to its members that failing to settle private debts with financial institutions or individuals will now result in an internal disciplinary action. This directive, published in the latest weekly force orders, highlights a concerning rise in cases where police officers have either refused, listen to this, refused or neglected to honor their financial obligations. JCF leadership emphasized that such behavior undermines the integrity and professional standards of the constabulary, noting that officers are expected to maintain personal conduct that reflects positively on the force, and also as character in your personal life as well. Suppose you are abiding by the laws that you enforce. By treating these private defaults as a matter of professional discipline, the High Command aims to curb instances of financial irresponsibility that could potentially compromise the credibility of the police service. Cleaning up the police service, I don't know how much cleaning up they're actually doing, but this is a good news report there. And it shows you that around the world, here in Trinidad and Tobago, and around the world, and throughout the Caribbean especially, police officers believe that they are above the law. Member of Parliament for the Northern Grenadines, Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday, a good Prime Minister unlike the one before, has underscored the critical role of education in national development, describing it as essential to the country's progress. He made the remarks during the Taiwanese bursary presentation ceremony held at Bequia last Thursday. Addressing attendees, Prime Minister Friday emphasized the importance of initiatives that support students in their academic journeys, noting that investments in education yield long-term benefits for both individuals and the nation. Yes, people investing into the youths, again, especially in their education. The Prime Minister also took the opportunity to commend educators for their vital role in shaping young minds. He called on teachers to take pride in their responsibility, noting that their influence extends far beyond the classroom, and that's why you need to set a good example for them. And also, as a government and as a nation, ban and outlaw gang culture that is promoted by entertainers and by the media and by the radio stations. Ban it. It is indoctrination, people. It's not entertainment.
Yes. The scholarship program, bursaries program, is of tremendous importance to us. For young people, school, studying, that is what we offer you as the best thing that we can do for you. As adults, as government, as parents, as guardians, as teachers. There is nothing more precious that you would possess, whether it's the fabled iPhone or a computer or whatever. Nothing is more valuable, more useful than the natural intelligence that God gave you. You're influencing minds, you're shaping people, you're making people. This can't be any other job, like fixing a building or driving a car or something like that. What you do stays with them for life. It shapes who they are. A doctor may fix some injury that you have, but when that heals, the scar might be there, but the injury is gone. An injury occurring to a student by some loose comment, by some bad experience that they have in the classroom, stays with them for life. You know that. So let us treat this function, this occupation, this vocation, this calling, with the seriousness, the reverence, and the importance that it deserves.
Barbados Education Transformation Minister Chad Blackburn says the new parent education program is not about telling parents what to do, but equip them with the tools to better support their children. Sounds good to me. Speaking at the launch, he said the initiative aims to strengthen parenting skills, improve communication at home, and build stronger links between families and schools. That's what they try to do here in Trinidad and Tobago as well. Because once again, in the ghettos, all these youths growing up doing about smoking weed, drinking rum, the truth, punching and stuff like that, and getting involved in gangs. That's all they know. They know nothing else. And that's why they roam the streets looking for trouble, playing bad. Young people, roaming the streets after school. and dressed, in the uniform, and looking as though they ain't dressed to go to school. Blackman stressed that the program represents a wider cultural shift, positioning parenting as a critical pillar of national development and calling on communities to play a greater role in shaping children's values. And once again, I will emphasize that the values should be away from, bring back biblical values and end this nonsense about gang culture, making people believe as though there's a gangster heaven. Where when you go to gangster heaven, you can smoke herbs for the rest of eternity and sip on Hennessy. Nonsense, people, utter nonsense, and people actually, whole communities actually believe in that, When you see them talk about RIP, and they have the big posters and stuff like that, and you have them with angel wings. Yeah, people are smoking herbs and involved in gangs. Angel wings, and because why? Because they're up in gangster heaven now, sipping on Hennessy and smoking herbs. Utter nonsense.
We are not here to tell parents what to do. At the end of the day, you are the parent. We are the Ministry of Education Transformation. We are the education system in which your child must pass through. And therefore we're here to help you, to help us, to help you, to help us. Just like that all the time. And this therefore is to make sure that that child has a chance, unlike any other child in the world, to get that global head start. And therefore, the initiative will strengthen the skills and the confidence of our parents, improve communication within the families, provide practical strategies for behavioral management, deepen understanding of child development, foster stronger relationships between the parents and the schools, of course, building supportive parent communities across the country. And now, I want to very briefly touch on a new national mindset. What we're building is not just a program, as I said. It is a cultural shift. A shift where parenting is seen as a critical pillar of national development, not just schooling development or education development, but national development. Parents, if you can, find the time to read with your children. If you can't read, because there's some parents, let's be real, and this is not to be in any way disparaging. If there's a challenge, ask for help. Write to the ministry, call the ministry, and we can point you in directions where you can get some support. Because, of course, under Minister Husbands' ministry, they're also leading an adult literacy program so as to be able to help the adults in our society who are having challenges with literacy. But this shift, therefore, must now be seen as, for the first time in that strategic way, if Barbados is to develop not just as an economic powerhouse, and we are well on our way to do so, but having strong social foundations, parent transformation, parent development must now be part of that national development. And what a better time to do it than on the eve of our 60th anniversary. Communities must also rally around children and caregivers. We grew up in a society where, and I came at the latter part of it because it doesn't really happen as much as before, but certainly in my father's generation, if you were given trouble on the road, in the community, someone would tell your parents before you get home. And dare you complain that they give you a little lash because you can get double blows when you get home. Now, I'm not here saying parents to please want to lash your children. No, the minister is not saying that. What I'm talking about is the role of the wider community in all of this. Parenting, yes, there's a biological component. There's an adoptive component, but we must also see parenting in the broader sense to ensure that the community also shapes and nurtures the value of our children. And therefore, this is a call to action to our parents and to our caregivers. You are not alone in this journey. You are the most powerful component in all of this. You shape the child. Because let's face it, the children are with us in the education system, plus or minus from, let's say, 8 o'clock, 8:30, until 3:30, depending on the activities in the evening. But most of the time in a 24-hour period is where? At home. So therefore, the child spends more time getting the values and everything at home than in the education system. But what we're presenting to you through transformation in curriculum, through ensuring that our teachers are trained to world-class standards and the best methods and everything, new infrastructure, technology, all these different things. That will help to shape you. But it can only go so far if the environment that you go back into will help to usher it and support it even further. And therefore, your daily interactions, as I said, and your words, your guidance, your presence will shape your child's future. To our educators, I want you to continue to be open in your classrooms, open your minds and your partnerships with the parents. And as I said, long may the Parent Teachers Associations continue to work within our schools. Of course, you are our allies. And to our partners and our stakeholders, thank you very much for the support and the investment that you continue to play in helping us to deliver transformation in Barbados.
Driven by her son's autism diagnosis, Bahamian mother Tandra Moss has transformed a personal challenge into a community resource by launching both a specialized school and a therapeutic practice. Positive news. I love this. After returning to a university to master applied behavior analysis, Moss established Reach Academy to provide a dedicated support and behavioral therapy, often lacking in local education systems. Seriously lacking too. The initiative addresses a critical gap for neurodivergent families in the Bahamas, offering professional intervention and specialized learning under one roof. By leveraging her academic journey to empower others, Moss has created a vital sanctuary for child development and family advocacy. Now, this is wonderful, positive news. I wish I could be reporting this type of news on a daily basis. Sadly, we don't have these kind of cases happening. Well, at least it isn't highlighted in the media daily.
At the age of 2, Alan Fox Jr. was diagnosed with autism, and his parents were told that he would be nonverbal. But today, the charismatic preteen has scored a seat as an honor roll student, passed his examination to get into high school, and was named Student of the Year for Thelma Gibson, evidently defying all those odds.
In addition to traveling, I like spending time with my classmates. I like reading books in my free time, and I like to dine out in restaurants. And I love the ambiance in the restaurants. Yeah, my favorite restaurant is Poop Deck.
Donnell Major Fox, Allen's mother, like many parents after such a diagnosis, had her moments of despair, but she was committed to ensuring the best results for her baby boy. She quit her job as a teacher and went back to school in New Jersey to get her master's in special education, with a concentration on applied behavior analysis.
We would have spent 2.5 years there in New Jersey, where he was able to attend a school and gain, a lot of skills and made a lot of progress over the 2.5 year period. And so once I was done with school, I returned home as the Lord would have had me to do. And once I returned, I had hoped that I would have been a meaningful asset in the Ministry of Education, being a 17-year veteran teacher. But I ended up back in the classroom.
And it was then that Reigning Heights Children's Center, her own private practice, opened its doors.
I think my youngest was 18 months, and now we're 18 months up to about 6 years old. After being in just providing therapy for about a year, my parents began asking about the possibility of me opening a school, which is something that I knew would happen eventually, but it ended up happening sooner than I expected. And Reigning Heights Academy came about in 2025, September.
Now with her own practice, a school, and her own living testament to the capability of faith mixed with her professional expertise, Fox is determined to help more parents understand that the diagnosis is no death sentence and that their kids also have bright futures ahead.
The important thing to remember is that early intervention is key. You don't want to wait until the child is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old to begin looking for those services. If you get ahead of it, it tells of what the future can be.
Hoping to pass on the same principles that helped her to get her where she is today.
I knew the voice of the Lord. I knew his direction, and I trusted him to a fault. Like, whatever it was that he asked me to do, I did. And he has never let me down once on this journey. Every single prayer I prayed for my son, he's answered.
International news now. President Donald Trump defended his move to cut nearly 300,000 federal positions on Monday, asserting that downsizing the unnecessary bureaucracy has actually benefited former employees. The president argued that after leaving their government roles, many workers have secured much better, high-paying jobs in the private sector while relocating to places they truly prefer to live. The streamlining effort is part of a broader push to increase government efficiency by removing redundant roles and reclassifying staffers to ensure agency alignment with executive policy. Like, you had a lot of redundant roles here in Trinidad and Tobago under the PNM for eater food purposes. That is what Trump is clearing out. Despite pushback from federal unions, the administration maintains that these reforms are essential for creating a leaner, more productive government that empowers individuals to thrive in the competitive market. You remember Republicans and everybody always talking about the debt, that the $1 trillion debt that America is in? Well, you have to reduce spending in order to reduce that debt.
We terminate a lot of federal jobs that are unnecessary, and they don't like me for doing it, but a year later they like me because they end up having a much better job, oftentimes in a place where they'd much rather live. You know, they go to the place that they want to go. They're not stuck in Washington or someplace else, and they do much better. And in the end, I mean, I've had a lot of people come up, they say, I was so angry at you, but now I'm making sometimes 2 or 3 times the money in a job that I really like. So you got to do what you have to do. You have to, politically, I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent. I think it's probably bad, maybe politically, but in the meantime, I'm in the White House, so maybe it's good. A lot of times.
On Monday, May 4th, 2026, Israel's Ben Gurion Airport was placed on maximum alert as military officials prepared for the possible closure of the country's airspace. With regional tensions rising, the airport authority is making plans to evacuate planes to safety to prevent them from being caught in a potential return to war with the radical jihadists in Iran. While flight limits had recently been eased, the Israeli Ministry of Transportation is now reviewing security to decide if all civilian travel must stop again. For now, the military is staying ready for any new attacks, and travelers are being told to watch sudden changes or cancellations. It ain't over, people. It ain't over. Because why? The Iranian Ayatollah radical jihadist regime and their IRGC forces, terrorists, don't want to give up, don't want to surrender, don't want to change from their evil ways, don't want to stop desiring to develop nukes to destroy little Satan and big Satan. They don't want to stop the agenda to destroy America and Israel. Little Satan is Israel in their eyes, and America is the big Satan. And they will never stop, because that's the whole meaning for life, people. They live with the intention and the agenda to destroy Western civilization.
Bible quote of the day. 2 Peter 2:1-22. But false prophets also arose among the people, just as there will be false teachers among you, who will secretly bring in destructive heresies, even denying the master who bought them, bringing upon themselves swift destruction. And many will follow their sensuality, and because of them the way of truth will be blasphemed. And in their greed they will exploit you with false words. Their condemnation from long ago is not idle, and their destruction is not asleep. For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment, if he did not spare the ancient world, but preserved Noah, a herald of righteousness, with 7 others when he brought a flood upon the world of the ungodly.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.